Hightower. Was it an easy catch? No. But John Hightower let one go through his arms in the end zone with seconds to go in the first half that would have given the Eagles the lead. Ray Dittinger, we're talking about an Eagles team. We'll get to the Birds defense, which has thwarted for much of that first half a pretty potent Pittsburgh offense, but the Eagles offense against the number 2 ranked defense in the National Football League, putting up 14 points in the first half. That isn't bad, Ray.
No, it's pretty good, Mike. Yeah, if you're an Eagles fan, you got to be pretty encouraged because the offense has moved the ball better, more consistently against this defense than anybody that's played them so far this year. They've had their possessions here, the last 2 possessions, well, before the one at half, was the Sanders had the long run. Then they had a really nice drive after the Steelers take the lead 14-7. The Eagles have 10 plays, 76 yards, convert 2 third downs. You know, I look at the stats here, Mike. One of the things that really surprises me is that if my numbers are correct, that the Eagles are 6 for 8 on third down against the number 2 defense in the league, which is pretty good. And I think that, you know, we've questioned some of Doug Peterson's play calling this year. But to this point in this game, I think he's done a really good job. The Steelers have just a ferocious pass rush. I mean, they
sure do.
They get great pressure on the quarterback, and the play calling here has been good enough that it's and the offensive line play has been good enough that, look, I'm not going to say Wentz has all day back there, but he has enough time to find a receiver and make some throws. And to be 6 for 8 on third down against this defense at this point, playing them out in Heinz Field, I think they've played pretty well. And the defense has hung in there. You know, the Steelers are a tough team to play against, and they haven't been able to run the ball very well. And you know, they've gotten good pressure on Roethlisberger. I mean, they haven't sacked him a ton, but he's been under duress. You've seen him having to move around and try and get out of the pocket, which at this point in his career he really doesn't want to do. He isn't as mobile, and
you can see that too.
Yeah, I mean that's not the way he wants to play. I mean, he's 38 years old. He's had some injuries. He wants to just hang in the pocket and get rid of the ball quick. And the Eagles knew that, so they're taking his quick reads away from him. They know that ball wants to come out quick. We've talked about in the pregame show that he's averaged 2.28 seconds getting the ball out of his hands. So they're taking that early look away from him, and they're making him look for another guy. They're making him to look progression 2 and 3. So he's holding the ball a little bit more, and he's feeling some pressure. So really, the Eagles for a half here have played the Steelers very, very tough.
Yeah, you're talking about not just Ben Roethlisberger, but the rookie Chase Claypool. You're talking about Juju Smith-Schuster. You're talking about James Conner. And I think they've kept a blanket on them. Certainly, they've got 17 points. But as I said, and now let's switch to the Eagles offense. It should be 21-17 if Hightower makes that grab. But the play calling from Doug Peterson, the 3rd and 9, and the 74-yard touchdown run from Miles Sanders that completely flummoxed the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thing of beauty.
Really well done. And I think what happened there was, you know, the Eagles get into a 3rd and 9, and the Steelers are figuring, well, they're surely going to throw here. And they just gear up everything for the pass rush. So the guys from the outside are coming up the field. The guys from the inside are looping to the outside. They're trying to get pressure on the quarterback because they don't think there's any way that the Eagles are going to try and run the ball against their defense. And they caught him with it. It was a great call. It was a great trap. The last thing they were expecting was the draw play. And, Sanders hits it just perfect and then goes 74 yards for a touchdown. I mean, that was 99 times out of 100 in that situation. Doug Peterson ain't running the ball, okay? But that's exactly why it worked.
I don't know why you'd say that.
That's exactly why it worked in that situation. It was the last thing the Steelers expected, and they caught him with the right call in the right formation against the right front, and it turns into a 74-yard touchdown. Great call by Peterson.
To those who say, well, it might have been 3rd down, they didn't expect it, but the fact that they went deep down the field in their previous tries, that set that play up as much as the 3rd down situation. What would you say to that?
They've taken some shots down the field. Yeah, that's true. I think what you're seeing with the Steelers now is that they are, Ben is not throwing the ball down the field deep a whole lot now. They're much more a slant, work underneath kind of team. That's kind of what they are right now. And you looked at their average yards per catch coming into this game. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster, who was a big receiver just a couple years ago with a lot of big yardage, he's averaging 9 yards a carry. 9 yards a catch. So they're not throwing the ball deep that much. The rookie from Notre Dame, Claypool, who was their second-round pick, looks like he's kind of emerged as their big play guy. I mean, the other guys are going to move the chains, and they're going to make the catches that are going to get you the first downs. But it looks like a lot of it is set up with Claypool. If they get a good coverage on him, if they get him one-on-one, they have no problem throwing the ball to him. And as you can see, he's a big kid with a lot of speed, and he can make a play.
The Eagles' second-round pick wide receiver from last year, Ray, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, actually came up with a great catch at the end of the half. Time expired. But I'm thinking, how is it that the free agent cut by Detroit in the preseason, signed by the Philadelphia Eagles, Travis, smoke 'em if you fogue 'em if you've got 'em. and when you look at what he's done, 5 catches on 6 targets, he's Carson Wentz's go-to guy, it would appear.
He has become that, yeah. I think that the way this is working out is that, and Wentz is doing a very good job of this, is he's reading the coverage. And give credit to his offensive line. They're giving a little time in there to look around. And where he's seeing is he gets the best matchup, and a lot of the coverage has been on Ertz, as it normally is. They've got some coverage on Ward because he's the primary outside receiver. So most of the time, Fulgham is getting one-on-one. And I think Wentz feels like if I got one-on-one with this kid, I'll take it. And it's amazing to me that the two of them have developed the kind of timing that they have at this point. I mean, he's made some tough timing throws to Fulgham, and to the kid's credit, he's gotten open, he knows when to look for the football, and he's made some plays. So for all the folks who thought that the San Francisco Travis Fulgham was a one and done, that was just one of those great moments in time, but you'll never hear from him again, well, I think you heard from him in the first half here.
Carson Wentz, 9 of 16, 124 yards. Doesn't have a touchdown pass, but he doesn't have a pick either, as opposed to Ben Roethlisberger. He's got 162 yards passing. Excuse me, that's the Steelers' offense, 162 yards. Eagles have almost 200 yards of total offense. What are you looking for from the second half for the Birds? They can win this.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, they can. And I wouldn't change much of anything. I think that what you've got right now is, you would like to be able to generate a little bit more on the ground. You'd like to be able to feel confident about being able to run the ball and get some 4s and 5s. It's very hard to do against these guys. I mean, you popped the big one for 74 yards, but you've seen most of the rest of the time when they've tried to run it, they've gotten stuffed, the way everybody's gotten stuffed running against this team. But I think you have to continue to mix it up a little bit and mix up the run and the pass. But I think they've got a good formula. And once again, the offensive line, this young, reconstituted offensive line, I think has done a very good job in pass protection, because these Steelers, I mean, we've seen them not just this year, but last year. This front, this defense, I mean, they just swallow teams whole. The down linemen and the outside linebackers, and the Eagles have held the fort very well through the first half.
Yes, it's nothing, Ray. Nothing. Wait till you see the second half when Doug Peterson makes his adjustments. It is 17-14 Eagles, as if you didn't know. Still should be 21-17. Come on, John Hightower. We'll see what the second half brings. You've been watching Nissan in-game live. Ray Dittinger, Michael Barkan. You got Barrett Brooks coming up after the third quarter. We also remind you, clock hits 0 after a big Eagles victory to even up the record at 2-2-1. We will be talking about Eagles Postgame Live on NBC Sports Philadelphia. We hope you join us then. See you then.